Now don't throw away your sewing machine just yet. Let's try to figure out what is going on because I can almost guarantee it's one of these 5 simple fixes. Well, hi there and welcome. My name is Rebecca. Welcome to Laugh So Create, where we make sewing a lot easier, hopefully a lot less frustrating and fun. So pull up a chair today as we take a look at some common sewing machine problems that you might encounter as you go along your sewing journey. So let's take a look at problem number 1, thread nesting, and you may have heard of it as bird's nest. Oh, the lengths we go to try to help you out with your sewing. So thread nesting. That's just a little exaggeration, but it's not your bobbin, but it's actually from the top part of your machine. Thread the machine, but it has not gone through the tension dials correctly. So the solution is to stop what you're doing and rethread your machine. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. So you want to make sure that you're following the directions on your machine to ensure that your thread is going through your tension dials. So here are the 3 steps to fixing the issue. I'm going to snip the thread, and I'm going to lift the presser foot, and then I'm going to pull out the thread this way. And that's how you should always take out your thread. You should never pull it out backward. Okay, so I'm going to put it through the first tension dial and make sure it's in there. And then the second tension dial, loop it around, make sure all of the steps are taken. The other thing to do with some machines, now this machine's not as finicky, at the beginning of your sewing line, you will want to hold your threads. Now with the Juki 2010, you don't have to do that. There, it's fixed. So I always rethread the machine before I touch anything else because 80% of the time this will fix what the issue is. So problem number 2, and that is skip stitches. So if your machine is skipping stitches, it's usually not broken, it's your needle. Either a dull needle or a wrong needle type. So to fix this issue, you would replace the needle and use the correct needle. Now, as you can see, I keep my extra needles up here and I label them that way. Depending on what fabric I'm using and what project I'm using, I can easily access the correct needle. And it's good to replace your needle frequently in projects or before you start a new project. Okay, so problem number 3 is when you get uneven stitches, whether they're too tight or too loose. The why is 1, incorrect threading, so rethread your machine, or 2 could be a tension problem. So let's take a look at the tension situation on your machine. So the best advice I can give you for adjusting the tension is to think of when you're cooking and adjusting the flavorings in your food. You want to kind of go slow with all the seasonings that you're adding and do it gradually. Likewise, if you are adjusting your tension, make small changes and break out your manual for your sewing machine and follow the directions until you get your tension correctly. So for tension, there are knobs on the top that you can adjust as well as on your bobbin. Now on your bobbin, it's on your case, and again, you'll want to follow the directions of your sewing machine, but the bottom tension is a screw that is on your bobbin case. It will ideally glide down when smoothly without jerking when your tension's correct. And then on the top, again, you'll want to adjust it based on your sewing project as far as your material thickness. But again, the best thing to do is crack open your guide. And for us Juki owners, the Juki TL 2010Q, the page is on page 28. It has some diagrams to show you what is the situation that is going on causing your erratic stitches. So problem number 4 is perhaps most terrifying, and that is when your machine locks up. If you've ever had that happen, it is scary because you don't know if at the next moment you're going to break a needle and it'll pop off and hit you in the face. So whatever you do is stop what you're doing right then and there, unplug the machine, and what you want to do is reach in and pull out your bobbin, replacing it and making sure that it's in appropriately, because sometimes that will cause it to jam up. The other thing is to routinely clean your sewing machine. You'll want to take off the plate of your sewing machine, take the brushes and dust around. So problem number 5 is when your fabric is not feeding through. It's running, but the fabric's not moving through. Chances are is you forgot to turn your feed dogs. Your feed dogs are actually under here, these teeth looking things, and what happens is that you have the option to drop your feed dogs, and sometimes if you've forgotten to switch it, like if you're doing free motion quilting and you've dropped your feed dogs, then you may have forgotten to raise them back up, and that is why you don't have the help of those teeth pulling the fabric through. The other issue, it could be the pressure that of the presser foot, that if you are changing the thickness or the types of the fabrics, it may not be gripping or causing enough pressure with the foot to hold the fabric to feed it through. So you'll have to adjust the pressure of your foot, and you'll follow your machine's directions on how to adjust the presser foot pressure. If it is super unpressed, so I'm going to turn it all the way up, so there's not going to be a whole lot of pressure when I go to sew. If it's sewing with a certain thicker fabrics, it may not pull it through, and you kind of saw it wobbling a little bit. See how it's kind of going wonky? It's because there's not enough pressure. So I'm going to add more pressure. That way it will pull it through over the feed dogs evenly. So I'm about halfway, and when I go halfway, I can generally feel like that is going to pull it through more evenly. And you also want to make sure that you are guiding your fabric and not pushing on your fabric, so that you're just lightly using your fingers to gently push your fabric through or guide your fabric through. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to Laugh Sew Create for more simple and effective sewing tips. Also, take a look at this next video where I'm actually solving some common problems that you might experience when sewing vinyl.